Hello everyone. Today I would like to speak about how the moment presents itself to us. And right now I am walking on a grass field, but also near many buildings. And I look at how at first I am engaging with my surroundings and what is around me. This could be as something right beside you to what you're standing on, the ground that you look at, and in a sense, the way your head has been turned in this life. We notice that as consciousness remembers, the concept and the idea that is you, in a sense, finds itself to be a greater observance. Similar to perhaps the moment where once you have picked up the fruit, you know it's a fruit, you know? And that tree is no longer the same. Go back to your childhood. Look at the moments where you were astonished by life and let that inspiration walk with you. Because right now, as you pay attention to where you are and in a sense what you are, there comes a comfort in which you see you have already let go of things in different states of being. A lot of your mind problems or problems you think about things you can't change are actually ideas you are not letting change. And idea is actually both a gate. And when the ideas are closed, when you are not willing to open your mind to the openness of existence which you are, then there is a sense of hopelessness when hope is always right there. And we don't want this. So when looking at the moment, and in a sense when looking at yourself, you notice that your mind, or that system in which is making you aware of things, is finding an ability into connecting meanings from various fields that have nothing to do with one another. Perhaps you begin walking and you see that the tree is in one color, and then your mind engages into the many colors that it could be. And you think about where could these colors be, and you think about the eyesight of man and the dimensions of experience in which we're allowing our experience to flow through. The moment is where you find yourself to be active. So anything you want to activate in your life immediately must be found within your present moment. In other words, where you're standing now, you must see all that you want or have to be with you right now. Many of us look at relationships, especially in life and in human life, of ones that are limited to body. In other words, we're still paying attention to this physical body. And as we notice this attention growing, we see we have found it fun to engage in the changes in which a physical body can go through. But who is that tolerant to see mankind do something which is impossible, or in a sense was once realized to be a myth? The myth that we are given has nothing to do with the myth they tell us. And in a sense, I guess, the limitation in which you find yourself to have has nothing to do with the type of limitation you're given. What that means is that you might be a child in Africa, wondering why with 8 billion people we have a lack of responsibility for other human beings. And you see, it is because we are not human beings. No one is normal. No one is sane. Everybody is insane because we see that sanity is only being kept when we have artists that draw what lies behind their eyes. Who needs a logic when beauty is everywhere? Okay? And what I mean by this in a sense is not the beauty of story, but the beauty of your experience. And to see the beauty in how the experiencer is always observing the experience and the objects of experience, there is a sense of re-identification that does not need to identify. And I guess what I'm suggesting with this, guys, is that there are certain archetypes within us all. In other words, if I ask you what a hero is, you're going to tell me some things which I'm probably going to know all the movies you've seen. But when we look at what we are confronting the greatest values that we as a being have been able to identify and perceive. And what is very, in my mind, beautiful, cosmically even, is the fact that the human being can wear a jacket for many years of its life, and you see some human beings have forgotten they're wearing the jacket, and some have taken it off, but because they've taken it off, that means they're not here, they've run somewhere else, you know? And you see, it is only a balance of reality that is keeping us where we are. It is your ability to perceive the growth of your experience. And what that means is, I mean, think about it. What am I talking about? Growth of experience. What does that make you think? We are natural points of being. And in our cycles of change, we find the human being to be increasing in self-awareness as it leads, you know, through its experience of time and space. In other words, if time and space were gatekeepers, they've only allowed you, you know, to go through the gate only for a little while. And so you need to learn to appreciate the communication that you are and is present within you and sometimes as you to be found within the moment. Boom. So to become aware of the moment, guys, it requires more involvement of you with everything that you know. It requires you to look at the things you're uncomfortable with. And at times there are going to be qualities in you. Trust me, if you don't like something about someone, you're going to see that within yourself actually, once you're really observant. Once you're observant, you see that ideas never belonged to anybody, but only you were the puppeteer that were making your own strings and connecting your strings to whatever. So in a sense, again, to bring this focus back to an access and what the moment is in its presence is you. So once you find an ability within yourself to identify no longer as the objects of experience, but as the experiencer, you have given yourself the ability to not just feel subtle realities of your making, but to, in a sense, pilot your experience to its highest natural peak. In other words, once we have boiled the water, you know, once you look at it, the bubble at the bottom of the pot runs up, you know? It runs up. And so, once the attention to ourselves has increased, we go through a sense of alchemical transformation in which consciousness is no longer identifying with the same ratio of materials too heavy to carry. You know, some people carry, you know, items, big items, objects. But some people carry themselves as objects. And that is not comfortable to see. Because the reason you feel you are an object, in a sense, means that you have not given yourself the allowance to be aware of that space where your imagination tries to communicate your truth and you still don't trust it. How can you trust it? Well, you need to trust the self that is keeping everything in orbit for you. And in a sense, we may at times find ourselves to be too small of a unit to make a change. This thought comes to the minds of those who feel they have been pushed too hard. But it has nothing to do with the energy that motivates you to be alive in the way you are required to. There is a natural sense of self-knowledge which you can give yourself through self-awareness, which enhances your own unique qualities of understanding what methods you're using to be alive, to work. And with that, there is no crowd that can make your voice fade. There is no ruler that needs to force his ruler upon you. We break rulers when we want to build new things. If we don't have enough supplies, I will use a ruler to build something else. And we must have that ability into perceiving the realities where we are not trapped by our measurements. Because if we are trapped by measurement, then the value of our reality becomes just like one where you feel you must take just as it was taken from you, your ability. We don't need all the stuff we think we need to be aware of ourselves. Awareness has nothing to do with what you think. Thinking is important, but the awareness to your thinking, if it is done as an idea, you always find yourself a step behind. But once you function and allow the intelligence of your being to be present just like every moment is, that is when you have touched the sky since the moment light could enter your eyes. Much blessings, and the moment is always here. Be here. Because you really need to see this self-awareness that enables you. It is something that you don't need a teacher, you don't need an instructor, you need a mirror, which I am giving you one. And so much blessings. And namaste.